And ladies and gentlemen, throughout today, we'll have very exciting panel discussions as well as keynote addresses that will be delivered on this stage. So please follow all of our agenda as we safeguard the sustainability effort of Indonesia. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to the stage the Coordinating Minister for Infrastructure and Regional Development of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono, for his remarks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace and blessings be upon us all. His Excellency Bapak Roslani, Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry, and also the CEO of Danantara. Distinguished ministers and all members of Merah Putih Cabinet. We have here Minister of Public Works, His Excellency Bapak Dodi Hanggodo, Minister of Transmigration, Bapak Iftitah Sulaiman Sudianegara, Vice Minister of Investment and Downstream Industry, Bapak Todotua Pasaribu, Vice Minister for Home Affairs, Ibu Ripka Muluk, Chairman of the Indonesia Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Bapak Anindya Bakri. Thank you for your inspiring speech. And the United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ibu Retno Marsudi. Ambassadors of friendly countries to the Republic of Indonesia, esteemed business leaders, and we also have so many regional leaders. I see some governors, mayors, bupati, and of course I would like to thank international partners, friends of Indonesia, Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati dan muliakan, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to speak at the Indonesia International Sustainability Forum, the ISF 2025, at a moment when the world is being reshaped, not only by the climate crisis, but by uncertain geopolitics, supply chain shifts, economic realignment, and the race for new energy systems. They affect food prices, jobs, energy access, water supply, and fiscal space. We cannot afford to see climate and economic development as two separate agendas. One cannot advance by sacrificing the other. We must achieve both. Ladies and gentlemen, for too long, the sustainability agenda has been defined by those who industrialize first. The models, the technologies, even the language of transition have largely been shaped by the global north. But the conditions of the global south are different. Our demographics, our growth needs, and our fiscal realities are all different. One lesson is clear. There is no one-size-fits-all formula, no silver bullet, and no single template that developing countries can simply copy. Indonesia and many other nations like us cannot and should not replicate strategies designed for countries whose development curves peaked a century ago. We must chart our own path to sustainability. And to do that, we need spaces like this forum, a stage where we can exchange ideas, experiments, not as recipients, but as co-creators of solutions, where we support each other in building development models that are just, realistic, and future-proof. That is the philosophy behind this ISF. Not just a conference, but a platform to shape our own narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are serious about sustainability, we must begin where every society begins, with food, water, and energy. These are the foundations of life, and without them, no nation can build a just or lasting future. Before we talk about green transition, digital transformation, smart mobility, or industrial decarbonization, we must first ensure that every household is nourished, every community has access to clean water, and every region is powered reliably. Indonesia carries this responsibility at an extraordinary scale, feeding more than 280 million people, one of the largest and the youngest populations on earth. That task demands productive land, modern irrigation, and resilient distribution systems that work in every season, not just on paper. We are expanding food estates in selected regions, revitalizing irrigation and improving land use planning so that farms remain farms and they can stay productive. These are not short-term harvest strategies. They are long-term guarantees of supply and a deliberate step away from dependence on imports. The next essential foundation is water. Much of Indonesia's water infrastructure already exists, but the promise of capacity must be turned into the reality of service. We are aligning the national water policy to accelerate investment in piping networks, reduce excessive groundwater extraction, and expand access to clean water in all regions. Our benchmark is clear. By 2045, all urban areas should have universal access to piped clean water. Meaning, we must be able to deliver reliable service for household, farms, and industry every single day. The third pillar is energy. We have laid out the RPU PTL 2025-2034, a roadmap for a cleaner, more sustainable power system. Over the next decade, Indonesia will add 69.5 gigawatts of new capacity to the national grid, with 3/4 coming from renewable and storage. The path is clear. Now comes the test of discipline, lowering cost, accelerating deployment, and ensuring that execution meets ambition. Together, these three pillars, food, water, and energy, form the true foundation of sustainability. They are the starting point for any society that aspires not only to survive, but to thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, sustainability is not only about protecting the environment. It is also about how we grow, how we make our economy faster, more efficient, and cleaner at the same time. A sustainable economy is one that drives progress without depleting the very resources that sustain it. In this sense, sustainability is both a moral imperative and an economic strategy. One of the clearest examples of this strategy in action is transport electrification. By transitioning from fossil fuels to electric mobility, we reduce fuel imports, ease the subsidy burden, and modernize our transport system. As of August 2025, Indonesia has sold more than 120,000 battery electric vehicles, reached roughly a 10% market share. New manufacturing plants are now being commissioned and many will be fully operational next year. But electrification must go beyond private cars. The real task lies in decarbonizing public transport, logistics, and freight, ensuring that every link in a chain that moves our people and goods becomes cleaner, more efficient, and more resilient. Beyond mobility, sustainability in growth also means creating more value from what we produce. This is the very essence of downstreaming. Pak Rosan is the expert in this field of area. And the transformation of our raw materials into high-value products. The success of our nickel downstreaming has already reshaped Indonesia's export profiles and created greater national value. Now, we aim to expand that success to copper, bauxite, palm derivatives, seaweed, and other high-potential commodities so that Indonesia exports more value, not just more volumes. Yet, as we expand our industrial capacity, we must also make it cleaner. That is why we are advancing industrial decarbonization. Through energy efficiency, digitalization, hydrogen readiness, and where viable, carbon capture. Our goal is straightforward: to decarbonize without deindustrializing and to remain competitive in a global economy that increasingly rewards low carbon production. Of course, none of this transformation is possible without two critical elements. Pak Anin has mentioned this already. Number one, human capital, and number two, investment. The green transition does not run on slogans. It runs on capability. We need engineers who can integrate power grids, data specialists who can anticipate demand and risk, technicians who can maintain new systems, planners who can design resilient cities, and green finance experts who can structure viable, bankable projects. To achieve this, Indonesia is aligning its human capital development with the needs for the future through education, certification, and hands-on apprenticeships that turn knowledge into know-how. The second enabler is investment. Because ambition needs resources and transformation requires scale. According to Bappenas, Indonesia will need around $650 billion in infrastructure investment to achieve its target of 8% economic growth. Of this total, about $190 billion must come from private capital, nearly 4 times more than in the previous period. The state budget alone cannot and should not carry this burden. We are therefore building a financing ecosystem that blends public and private instruments, mobilizing sovereign funds, engaging multilateral partners, and encouraging blended finance. But investment will only flow where trust exists. This is why our focus is on ensuring a predictable investment climate, regulatory certainty, and innovative financing models that de-risk early stages while protecting public interest in the long term. These principles explain why the Coordinating Ministry for Infrastructure and Regional Development is co-hosting this ISF. We strongly believe that collaboration is the true engine of sustainable growth, key to better connectivity and strong coastal protection against natural disasters. Therefore, our partnership with the Ministry of Investment, Danantara, and of course, Kadin is so vital, serving as the bridge between public policy and private execution, and as the driving force in mobilizing industry, investment, and innovation. Together, we share one mission: to make Indonesia not only attractive destination for investment, but a reliable partner for delivery. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with three important reminders. Number one, the future must be secured with food, water, and clean energy that are reliable and affordable. Number two, the future must be competitive with efficient mobility, deeper downstreaming, and industries that decarbonize even as they grow. And finally, the future must be investable with skilled people, credible project pipelines, and financing models that turn ambition into real assets on the ground. As partners and solution builders, let us work together. Let us build a future where prosperity and sustainability lift one another. Let us build a future where no one and no region is left behind. And let us build impactful progress for Indonesia, for humanity, and for our planet. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Agus Harimurti Yudhoyono, for the inspiring remarks. Also noting that sustainability and economic growth should go hand in hand. And let's not put aside as well ensuring that all houses or every household is nourished through food security, clean water supply, and energy security. And while through industrial decarbonization, Indonesia deems to remain competitive in the global economy, and let's do it through collaboration as the true engine of sustainable growth. Once again, thank you for the remarks.